Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much for your questions. Craig with me in the studio, just booking a hair appointment.
Yes.
With no comment. I also welcome Frank LeBeuf and Stuart Robson.
A good segue into...
I'm saying nothing.
What about booking a hair appointment? That sounds like something...
What?
Oh, no, I'm not
I
going
don't think it sounds like anything. I think everyone knows you go to the barbers.
You used to be able to just walk into barbers. Can you do that where you live now?
No, you got to book.
I'm sorry, I can have a hair appointment. I can have a hair appointment, you know what I mean? Look at me, like here. Robo cannot.
No, definitely not.
No. You
It's
go for a hair
another
massage. You can go
point.
for a massage, a follicle massage, can see if they can find any.
Right.
That's unfair, Dan.
What?
To pick on these
I
two.
haven't picked on anyone. I just mentioned that and then...
You know what was the final nail in
He
the
was
coffin
very
for
quick,
me?
Dan. He was very quick to go to HR when we mentioned about his being vertically challenged. Now he's talking about our lack of hair. He doesn't want to know. He said nothing wrong.
Hey, nothing wrong. But me and Lissandro Martinez get on well. Right, what do you want? What are you saying?
Frank was the first person in France to shave his head.
What are you talking about?
Well, he told us.
He was in the whole of France.
He was a trailblazer.
In the country
Yes.
to shave his head.
You were on that day.
No, I wasn't.
That's me.
But- yes, yeah, all right then.
Anyway.
Talking of trailblazers.
What I
Craig,
was going to say was, the final nail in the coffin for me was,
Yes.
was I got told today by the director my hair was sticking up in the front,
there you
so
go.
it needs trimmed.
right, oh good, okay.
And I was trying to grow it, be a hippie.
And when did you make your hair appointment for?
Unfortunately, I couldn't get one tomorrow. Well, I could, but it's just before the Champions League games.
Okay.
And I'm working, and I never miss a game.
Yep, okay. Right, Craig's uncle George has just had a bar at Ipswich, Portman Road named after him. Of course, he was...
Apparently he has, yes.
Yep. Have any of you had anything similar? Oh, Frank's had lots of things named after you, haven't you, Frank?
Yes, I have a park, a stadium, and a gymnasium after my name. That's not too bad. Yeah, I'm expecting a street. Or maybe a boulevard, you know, very, very soon.
Oh, LeBeuf Boulevard, I like that. Mr.
In West Hartford.
Mr. Robson?
Yeah, I've got the outside toilets at the Emirates have been named after me, I think.
The Portaloos.
Yeah, the Portaloos, yeah.
Just get the big gates with a big padlock on it. At the Emirates, named after Robbo in the perimeter.
No. How hard or easy is it for players to go from an ultra-defensive mindset or tactics to having to now go offensive? Do players not prefer being active rather than reactive at the start of a game? This obviously in...
Well, I tell you what, during the show, there was a little bit of love coming back for Conte, and I know he's a good coach, but honestly, at the moment, if you said to me, who's in charge of Tottenham, the way they're playing, Mourinho or Conte, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference.
Right.
That's how dull and boring it is until they're asked to come out of their shell, to the point of the tweet, to come out of their shell and go and play. The answer to the question is not ideal, try to switch it on and off like a light bulb. However, players will react in desperation and can usually cope with that kind of thing. But yeah, you know, you'd want them to be on the front foot. That's how City and Liverpool over the last 3-4 years, whatever it is, have had their success, by coming out and smothering teams and getting on the front foot and pushing teams back. And it just seems Tottenham are either unable to do it, which I find slightly, I don't believe that with the players they've got, or they just don't want to do it.
Frank, how long before a match did you know the starting lineup?
Well, normally around 5 p.m., you know, we have a meeting just after having a little snack. We have a meeting with the coach, and he put the lineup and give us the start 11. It's normally where you know exactly who's going to play and who's
This is
gonna
the
be on
day
bench.
before?
No, that's the afternoon. When I used to play at 8 p.m. in France, that was around 5 p.m. And in England, when we played at 3 p.m., I would say that the coach had a meeting around 12, 12:30, maybe 1, and he was putting the 11 names. That's the only time that I was told who's going to play alongside me.
It depends. The answer is depends who the manager is.
How did you prefer to know? Did you prefer
I think
to know?
most of the time, to be honest with you, most of the time we knew the day before.
Okay.
Most of the time, there was the odd occasion it was named on.
Surely in training, isn't the 11 set up that you're going to play?
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't do that during the week. Have patterns of play. It depends how your season's going. Sometimes managers keep it a little bit more light and lively. But I can't remember going back to Chelsea with Glenn and others, but I certainly know at Celtic and with Scotland and stuff, we pretty much knew.
Right. When did you know you weren't starting the FA Cup final?
That was actually the morning of the game.
Wow.
11 o'clock, I believe, at the hotel up in North London. Yeah, that was a day when I didn't. That was a day when the team was named on the morning of the game. Obviously 3 p.m. kickoff.
Yeah.
11 p.m. round about then the team was named. Rudd wrote it up on a whiteboard, whatever it was. That was a shock.
I bet.
So yeah, that was a bad one on the day. Because if he'd told me the day before, I wouldn't have turned up.
Well, that's probably why he left it till 11 o'clock. Robbo, as a coach, how did you deal with naming the 11?
Well, I wanted, as a coach, and I used to say to the manager, can you name the team, or can I put out the team? And you were just talking about put maybe 11 versus 11, or you want to do some work with the set plays. So I wanted the players to know a couple of days beforehand so I could work with them. But the manager would always say, no, we can't let the players know the team because the ones that aren't playing might go out. The ones that aren't playing might come and have a row with me in the office. I don't really want that. So name the team, a couple of hours before the game, which I never thought was ideal. I wanted to name the team the day before, at least.
I think the other side of the coin is, and I know, like for example, that period at Chelsea, they had a bit of an injury-ravaged season that year. So I was unsure. I knew I probably wasn't going to start that game, although I'd started the semi-final at Highbury when we beat Wimbledon, but I thought I was going to be on the bench. But as a general rule of thumb, and I think Frank and Robbo were probably the same at the clubs, my time at Celtic and Derby and with Scotland, it didn't really matter because I knew I was playing.
I see.
I think there are certain players. There are certain players at clubs that pretty much know they're going to play.
All right, big time.
No, and then there are fringe players who are sort of biting their nails and they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So,
Frank, I think didn't you play in the what was it? France, Brazil, that World Cup final. When did you know you were going to start in that?
What was it, France?
I knew. In fact, I realized that I would be playing when I was on the field for the semi-final, because I was clear with Aimé Jacquet that in case Blanc or Desailly would be suspended or injured, I would be playing. So I realized that while I was playing against Croatia, I said, "Oh my God! If we get qualified, I'm going to be playing." So that was a done deal with Aimé Jacquet. So I wasn't surprised to be playing for the final.
Frank dressed up as a referee that day, and he was going to run on and give Blanc a yellow card.
Yeah, that was it. To make sure they get suspended.
Somebody was getting a yellow card.
Something was happening.
Didn't really matter who.
Robbo, do you think Arsenal can keep up this pace and push City to the end of the season?
I think they've got quite a good chance of doing that. They're playing some good football at the moment. They're playing with high intensity. They're closing the ball down, all the things that Spurs aren't doing. We saw that in the Arsenal-Spurs game. They're creative. They've got wide players that can come in and score goals. Jesus is playing at the top of his game. Odegaard looks a good player now, playing in behind them. So I think they've got every chance of having a great season and coming second, but they won't catch Manchester. Manchester City is still the best side in England, but they're going to have a good season, and I think they'll have a good run in Europe as well.
Robbo, just one question. Do you think they can go the whole year and have relative success, if that's pushing Man City or finishing second? But do you think they can do that for the whole year with a centre-half at right-back and a right-back at left-back?
It hasn't caused them too many problems so far. Will they crumble? I thought they might crumble after they lost against Manchester United, because Arsenal over the last few years, when they lose one game, they then go and lose 2 or 3. They lose their confidence. But that hasn't been the case this season. Even when they've had a bad result, as they did against Southampton, they then come back and beat a poor Nottingham Forest side 5-0. So at the moment, everything seems to be right. They seem to have a good spirit. They seem to be playing with this great intensity. They seem to like the manager at the moment, where that wasn't the case a couple of years ago or a season and a half ago. So I don't think they're going to beat Manchester City, but they're definitely going to get in the top 4, which would be relative success.
Craig, despite the season, will Liverpool be the most feared runners-up of the group that every team would like to avoid in the next round of the Champions League?
Not particularly, no.
Do you not think so?
I'd have to see all the runners-up.
Well, do you want me to? I've got them here.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Liverpool...
Bruges, Inter, Frankfurt, Milan as it stands, Leipzig, Dortmund, Benfica.
I'm afraid to say that Liverpool at the moment are shoveled in with all those teams.
Do you think so?
Yes, I do.
Even though, like,
yes, I do.
European night at Anfield.
Listen, they've just lost to Nottingham Forest in Leeds, right? They've had one outstanding performance by recent standards. It was Man City. The rest has been heebie-jeebies. Frankfurt are a really good side going forward. Milan have got injuries to come back. No, I mean, there's no fear factor for me playing Liverpool at the moment. And that's, no, I don't. And I wouldn't have said that at the start of the season. I would not. But there isn't. I mean, it might click, but did Leeds have a fear factor? Did Forest have a fear factor? I mean, all these teams you mentioned are much better than those two.
Analysing Spurs some more, Frank. What is this style of play? Very, very passive first half. Is this planned?
I didn't get the first. What the style of play?
Yeah, for Spurs.
Of what? Of Spurs? Well, again, I don't know. I think it's like, and Craig talked about that and mentioned the name of Mourinho, where, you know, we were all complaining the way that he was playing and the fact that Son and Kane couldn't play at the level they wanted to play and they were defending too much. I see that again with Conte this season. So I was told during the show by Robo and Gab that is not what he wants to do, but that's what I see. And that's what I see every time that they start defensively very, very deep. And then suddenly, when they know that they might lose, they dramatically change and get offensive. So I'm saying that maybe they can find a middle way to please everybody and to let me think that there is another option for Conte to make that team play better. And the way they can play better is to be higher on the field and believe that they have enough qualities to play more offensively. But I'm sorry, the only style and the only option that I see from Conte is to play defensively with that team, and I think it's wrong.
Final question, Robbo. Is Darwin Nunez the most chaotic player in the league? Gets red cards, yellow cards, frequently caught offside, thunderous volleys on his left, scores from headers, while also missing one-on-ones. What is it with Liverpool and chaotic Uruguayan footballers?
Well, I don't think Luis Suarez did too badly, did he, when he was at Liverpool? If he has the sort of career that Luis Suarez had at Liverpool, apart from, of course, the things that we can't mention, the biting. Oh, I'm going to mention it, the biting and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
well, why can't we mention it?
He can be a good he can be a top-class striker, but he's got to calm his attitude. But then you've got a manager on the sidelines who's going mad every 5 minutes, so he's not a great example to the player himself. So Darwin Nunez has got to calm himself down, be the top player that he can be, and I'm sure he'll be a success at Liverpool.
He'd definitely break your nose at some stage, wouldn't he, Frank? Alan Shearer?
He broke it twice, yeah. But he was a captain of England, so play on, referees were saying. You know, that's okay.
Play on.
I had a surgery, it's fine.
Blood everywhere.
It's fine.
Play on.
That's no problem. All right, then. You could maybe get your hair cut late now. What time's he shut?
No, he's no appointments today.
Oh, no, that is it.
It's a right bloody mess as well. That's the last time I'm trying to grow it again. I'm too old
He's
for
an
that.
up, back and swoosh.
Oh, well,
That's what he's got to go and
on
ask for.
purpose?
What?
I thought it was just a case of you
What do you mean is
go
it
to
on
the
purpose?
barbers.
No, what do you think? I forgot where the barbers was.
Well, I just thought you didn't have time. We had lots of other things on. I didn't know you were purposely growing it to look like that.
What do you look like what?
Well,
the barber has mentioned to my son, who also goes there.
Yes.
And I shall paraphrase. Where the hell is he?
Right, yes.
He's watching this show in his barber shop, and I got a message off him.
You have a wet shave as well? Maybe sort that out?
No, I do that myself.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. That's it. We're done. ESPN FC will be back on your screens tomorrow.
I was going to have a beard as well.
Say again?
It was a beard and long hair. But they've both gone by the wayside now.
Yeah, they both just look a mess, don't they?
I like that.
We'll be back tomorrow for more Champions League chat. Till then, goodbye. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.